Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told out of Voice of Radio. So today, we've got a new Flareon we need to be having a look at, and I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Generation 1 Eeveelutions, Pokemon that evolved from Eevee, Flareon number 1. So there we go. But let's have a look at Flareon, shall we? Can Flareon actually be any good? Well, our translation here comes from the lovely Antoine Boulet, and frankly, I think it can. So if we start off having a little bit of a look at the basics here, we've got 110 HP, which is... it's fine for a stage 1. Yeah, stuff like Zapdos has 110 as a basic, but it's alright. Retreat cost of 2 is kind of annoying because you can't use U-turn board to get yourself free retreat, but you also can't use Pokemaniac to search it out. Boo, hiss, etc. Weakness to water, honestly fine. Caldeo GX is seeing a little bit of play, but water decks, even with welder decks running around like they are, water decks just are not seeing a huge amount of play right now. So you're kind of alright. And being a fire Pokemon's quite good. I mean, you've got Welder to accelerate energy, and then Fire Crystal to get your energy from the discard, and Fiery Flint to get it from the deck, and Heat Factory Prism Star for some extra draw power. It's a really good time to be a fire Pokemon. And you are hitting weakness on pretty much every grass Pokemon, think stuff like Celebi and Venusaur, as well as pretty much every metal Pokemon, think things like Lucario and Melmetal, although none of them are really seeing play at the moment because of the aforementioned welder problem. Hey ho, never mind. It's still quite nice, and at the end of the day, you are an Eeveelution, which means you're always going to be able to play around a little bit more because you've got one Pokemon, Eevee, and from that you can evolve a bunch of other Pokemon. However, we do have a slight issue here, and that is that the Eevee from Sun and Moon, the Energy Evolution Eevee, has rotated out. That was the one we've actually had a couple of times, whereby you attach a basic energy to it, and then you get to search your deck for a Pokemon that evolves from Eevee, and just evolve it straight up. It is great. We love it. It has rotated out. It's kind of annoying, ladies and gentlemen. It's kind of annoying. So we're left with Eevee GX. Now, Eevee GX can evolve into any Pokemon that evolves from Eevee, because remember, it's not a given because they evolve from Eevee, not Eevee GX. But this allows them to, but you're also sitting there with 160 HP, giving up 2 prizes. It's not exactly ideal, if I'm honest with you. And then there's plenty of other Eevees like the one from Hidden Fates with amazing artwork, none of which are particularly good. But hey ho, there's a reason we're talking so much about Eevee in this video, and it's because Flareon's ability, according to the lovely Antoine Boulet, reads: while this Pokemon in play, the attacks of your Pokemon GX that evolve from Eevee deal 30 more damage to the defending Pokemon. You cannot use more than one of this ability per turn. It does not stack. It is literally the same as Incineroar's ability from Unbroken Bonds, except instead of being for all Pokemon on a stage 2, it's for GX Eeveelutions on a stage 1. Okay. Feels like we can have some fun with this. Although, quick note at the beginning, it will not work on Gardevoir and Sylveon. That does not evolve from Eevee, which is annoying because being able to hit 180 with Kaleidoscope, getting a KO on something like a Blacephalon, for instance, would be awesome. Never mind. Can't have it all. Now, it is GX's only. I kind of like the new Jolteon from Hidden Fates, though mostly for the ability. Means your opponent has to take 2 damage counters every time they attach an energy from their hand, and yes, that does include Welder. And I also really like the new Glaceon, which is going to be coming out presumably in Cosmic Eclipse as well, but it doesn't matter, they are non-GXs, they don't count. It also means that this Flareon will not boost its own attack power. Never mind, we'll get to that one in a minute. Point is, this helps out all of your GXs that evolve from Eevee. So we'll go through them one by one in a moment, but just very quickly, we'd better give ourselves a little bit of a list, the ones that have yet to rotate out. So Umbreon and Espeon came around in Sun and Moon. They are unfortunately gone. Now all the ones that have gone will be legal in Expanded, but they're not legal in Standard. Similarly, Sylveon came out in Guardians Rising and has unfortunately rotated out. Some of these have been reprinted as promos, etc. They have all also rotated out. I've done me check-in, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry about that. Sylveon actually came close. It was promo 92 and promo 94 and up are legal, but that doesn't actually help, to be honest with you. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, you can't have it all. Now, those three are gone, unfortunately, but we still do have a few options. We've still got the promos of Flareon, Vaporeon, and Jolteon. All three of them came out late enough that they are still very much legal. And we've still got Leafeon and Glaceon because they came out in Ultra Prism. So we've got 5 options here. We got more if you go into Expanded, but for us at the moment, we've got 5 options. All right. So which one of these are particularly good options? Which ones are we going to be rolling with? I love Jolteon GX here. I really like Jolteon. Now, it's got free retreat, which helps. 1 lightning energy, 30 to the active, 30 to the bench, which now becomes 60 to the active, 30 to the bench. But being a lightning Pokemon does mean you have access to electro power, which is going to help very much, because now you can essentially be adding up to 120 of electro power plus this. It's a lot to ask for, but you can do 180 to the active and 30 to the bench if everything goes your way. That's pretty sweet. Or 110 for 2 energy, bearing in mind you've got electro power and you've got this. And this Flareon puts Headbolt from 110 to 140, which means you go from not KOing most non-GXs to KOing most non-GXs. If you look at a bunch of the ones that are seeing play at the moment, things like the Volcanion from Unbroken Bonds has 120. You push yourself over the top. Something like Granbull, which, okay, isn't seeing a lot of play, but I still love it. Now, we've also got Flareon, and I love Flareon because Flareon does a natural 190, which is enough to get stuff like Blacephalon, but won't get stuff like Naganadel, or the incoming Silvally GX, which looks amazing. But now, all of a sudden, with this new Flareon, you're up from 190 to 220, and once again, you're jumping over into some of those super relevant numbers. And that's what I love about this. Also, you've got to discard 2 energy to attack, but you can attach 2 more with Welder, so you're absolutely fine. And I really do think these are the 2 best options. Vaporeon does see a little bit of play, but it is largely for healing up with Pokemon like Keldeo, so I'm not loving this so much, unfortunately. And Leafeon, I love Leafeon as a card. I love that the ability lets you heal 50 from your active Pokemon. I love that the GX attack lets you evolve all of your basic Pokemon in one attack. But it's got a terrible weakness and a terribly underwhelming main attack, so I'm not particularly fond of Leafeon here. But I do think we've got some potential with Glaceon. Now, Glaceon's got a phenomenal ability. If it's active, your opponent's Pokemon GX and EX have no abilities. So that's stuff like the aforementioned Silvally, stuff like the aforementioned Naganadel, stuff like Dedenne. So this can be pretty gosh darn huge. But you do 90 to the active, 30 to the bench. Flareon turns it into 120 to the active, 30 to the bench. And this puts you through so many numbers. Things like Zapdos, all of a sudden you are getting a one-hit KO. Now you're not getting 130 HP Pokemon like Naganadel, for instance, which is a little bit sad. But there are plenty of Pokemon that you are. You're 2-hit KOing something like Pikachu and Zekrom, which makes a big deal. Unfortunately, you are still slightly short of Reshiram and Charizard. You need to be doing 140, you're only doing 120, which is sad, and this ability doesn't stack. Essentially, if you're playing any GX-based Eeveelution, you need to have one of these in your deck. Maybe 2 if you're worried about it being prize, but it really is no more than that, because it doesn't stack. There's no point having more than 1 out. And I don't know how many of these are seeing play, but Flareon and Jolteon and Glaceon do have a lot of potential, so I do think it is very much worth considering. I just don't know if any of them are phenomenal. As for the attack here, it's nothing to get terribly excited about. You do 90 damage for a fire and a double colourless, and you discard an energy attached to this Pokemon. You can use Welder, and you can also use triple acceleration energy if that's what you're into. But it's 90 for free energy. Frankly, ladies and gentlemen, we can do better. I'm not loving it. I'm not going to get excited about it. You're playing Flareon for the ability. That's the reason you play Flareon. But playing it for the ability is a pretty gosh darn good reason to play it, so I'm not going to get terribly upset. I'm going to be giving it between 3 and 4 Wassies. We don't give half Wassies. That would be barbaric. But if any Stage 1 Eeveelution ever becomes really good, then this card will also become really good. It will be a must-play in all of those decks. But at this stage, ladies and gentlemen, I would very much like to know what you think about this, so let me know in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at The Wassie, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And please do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WassiePlays, where we talk about a whole bunch of games that don't have any Pokemon in. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.